So here we've finally got an update on the Beanque automatic coffee maker. A little later than planned. It was going to be a 2-week update. It's actually been a little longer than that. Partly because I've been busy, just in general, and partly because I've been holding out to see if I could get a reply from the Beanque guys, and I have tried contacting them via the Kickstarter page and via the Facebook page, and unfortunately getting no response, which is a real shame because I have been very, very impressed with this device. So I was hoping to get more information as to what their plans were going forward, whether they were planning to market it on a website or do another campaign, because I've personally had 5 people, 3 people from work and 2 other people that I know who have seen me using this and asked where I got it because they wanted to get one themselves. So it's a bit disappointing that I've not had any response, I have to say. It's a real shame. But as regards the device, it's been working very, very well. I have been getting a typical average of about 10 uses on a charge, grinding coffee. I would say 15 is potentially feasible, as it states in the documentation, if you were grinding a very, very dark roast, which do tend to be softer. Now, anybody that's ground their own coffee beans in a hand mill will know that it's not the easiest thing. So for a battery and a motor to actually do that, to power this grinder and to grind the coffee beans, and if you like a sort of light to mid roast, as I tend to roast my own beans, they are harder, whereas if you get a very dark roast, they're much softer. So I think with the dark roast you could potentially get 15 uses out of a full charge. I've been averaging averaging sort of 11. I did manage 12 on one charge, and I got 10 on another, and then sort of 11 is the general sort of amount I've been getting. And now what I'm tending to do is charge this up after 3 days. I'll usually make 3 coffees a day at work with it, so I'm charging it up after 3 days, which is 9 uses, which seems to work very, very well. It charges in about an hour and a half, and overall I'm very, very impressed. I'm still very pleased with it. I still would recommend it. Unfortunately, I can't recommend it with regards to where it is for sale, because I've heard nothing back from the Kickstarter guys, and I'm really, really saddened by that. Unfortunately, looking at the Kickstarter campaign, there's 1 or 2 comments which are just clearly ridiculous, such as people saying, I bought this thinking it was an automatic coffee maker and found that I still have to boil water, and etc. I mean, it's ludicrous. They clearly just never watched the campaign video. These must have been people that thought that you pressed a button and it actually dispensed a hot coffee for you, which clearly it's not going to do. You're going to need something much bulkier to do something like that. So that's ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. But there were quite a few comments of people saying that they requested different coloured versions which were available for the stretch goal. Now, I actually requested the black one, which was the original one, and then when they reached the funding for the stretch goal, they said that there was a choice of, I think it was a sort of an olive green, a pink, and maybe a red. I can't remember what the other ones were off the top of my head. But I think there were 3 other colours available, and that you could change your choice at that point. I actually stuck with the black one, so of course when I received it, it never occurred to me that that might have been a problem, but apparently a great number of the backers who had requested coloured ones actually received black ones. So I'm wondering if something occurred whereby they weren't able to make the coloured units. I don't know. I don't know what the story is regarding that, and it is a bit of a shame if those backers have not actually gotten replies as to why that was. But as far as the unit itself is concerned, very pleased with it. Everything works very well, and the only I suppose it's not really a complaint as such, but the only thing I've noticed is that this cap, when used with the tumbler, when you screw this on with the hot coffee inside, you screw it on nice and tight, as you do obviously to prevent it spilling, and it can be a real pig to unscrew as it cools down, because obviously with the hot liquid is expanding the tumbler even slightly, I guess, and then when you're sealing it down, this silicone seal is making such a tight seal on there, it's actually, it can be a little difficult to unscrew. I suppose I'm being picky there. It's really not a complaint, because it's a good thing if it seals well. It's just a little bit a little bit frustrating, because especially if your hands are a bit wet or something like that. But it's a good thing because it does seal well. So no real complaints at all. Admittedly, I've not been getting 15 grinds out of a full charge. I'm really not bothered about that. I didn't expect that to be the case anyway, because they're always going to give you the best case scenario, in the same way that a mobile phone manufacturer would tell you that on a full charge, your mobile phone will last maybe 5 days on the battery, for example, whereas depending on how you use it, it might only last 2 days, and everybody knows this. So I think 9 uses of the grinder from a full charge is perfectly acceptable for a charging time of 1.5 hours. I'm just going to scoot in close and show you a few little things. If you look here at the pouring kettle, I suppose you would call it, you can probably see, hopefully you can see that quite clearly, these strange striations that have appeared all the way around it. And it looks very sort of disconcerting. And when this first appeared, and this appeared quite quickly after the first couple of days of use, or small ones sort of appeared quite quickly after the first couple of days of use. And when I first saw them, I thought, ooh, I don't like the look of that. And, you know, quite naturally, you'd think the same. That looks sort of quite worrying. And you're thinking, ooh, you know, you're pouring hot water into this. I really don't like the look of that. And I was quite worried about that. What I can see, however, you can see there's also some in the base there. I'm trying to sort of show it so that it captures the light, like so. Hopefully, yeah, I think you can see those. And it does look bad. It looks like it's cracking all around. And I will show you, actually, I'll pour some hot water into it from the kettle in a moment to demonstrate. But if you feel on the inside and on the outside, you cannot feel anything. It's smooth. So this cracking, these crazed lines are obviously appearing inside the material. And I've been using it now for 4 weeks solid, 3 times a day, at least. In fact, the first week I used it more because I was deliberately using this in lieu of my AeroPress, which I use at home, to do checks on how long the battery power lasted for the grinds. But so far, it's remained completely watertight, and I've poured water in this that's literally just off the boil, and you cannot feel any of these striations on the outside or on the inside. You can run your hand along them and it's perfectly smooth. So while it looks kind of worrying, it's actually okay at the moment. Obviously long term, I don't know if this is something that will spread and eventually crack and leak water out. That would be a shame if so, but at the moment all seems well. So I'll just get some hot water and actually demonstrate that. So here I'm just going to pour, I've got the kettle here, so I'm just going to pour hot water straight in. And you can see obviously the steam there. So, and that's water that's just boiled. So if I stick in this temperature probe, which is currently still rising, and trying to get that so you can actually see that, sorry, 90 There you go, we'll just hold that there. It seems to be hovering about there, about 92 degrees, well, just 91.6 degrees, which hopefully you can see on there. So you can see that that's hot. That's hot water straight into there, and you can see also that it's watertight, it's holding the water. So yeah, it's an odd one, this with the striations. I'm hoping that it's just an effect of the type of plastic, and I'm hoping that that doesn't carry on creeping outwards. But it's been like this since about the second or third use, and it has held well so far. Obviously, if it had a drop or something, I dare say that might crack it. So that's something I'm being sort of wary of and trying not to do. But it's holding so far, so that's good. And obviously, hopefully that will be reassuring to anybody who's noticed the same on their own. So with that covered, in general use, I found it very, very easy to maintain and clean. And it's a case of, while I'm at work, I have the machine loaded up with one lot of coffee beans in the hopper, and I just keep two. I use a food bag, and I keep two portions bagged up in a food bag. Basically, put a measure into the bottom, tie that off, put another measure in, tie that off, and that gives me my three, and then one in here. So I'll set that to grind. Once it's completed, pop this off, you pop off the basket, you flip the arms out, fit the basket onto the cup, and allow that, fill this up with water, pour that and what have you. Once I've poured from the kettle, I just take a paper towel and wipe that out. Once this is finished draining, I just tip out the remaining coffee beans, rinse the remaining coffee grounds rather, rinse this, and similarly give it a wipe with a paper towel, and that cleans it quite nicely. And as you can see, apart from a few little bits of coffee grounds in the bottom there, it's all very nice and clean. The cup itself, at the end of the day, is a case of get home and just give the cup and the lid a wash in warm soapy water, and it's all very quick, very open and easily accessible, and it's well designed. It works well, so there's no problems there. This has sort of loosened up a little bit, this catch, but it's still sturdy enough that it sticks and it won't pop open like so. I've discovered on opening the bottom that this is simply just a chute which guides the beans down into the grinder, and the grinder itself is about that much of the lower portion. All of that is sorry, let's get this on the screen so you can see what I'm doing. The grinder is about that much of the lower portion. All of that is the motor and the battery in the top bit, and then a chute which goes down here into the grinder, so that nothing's getting into this top bit at all. So you don't need to worry about the top bit, although you can undo that and open it, but you don't need to worry about that. The bottom bit, as I say, I'm going to do a separate little video and show you actually stripping this so you can get in there to clean it. But you do get pretty good access with just the burr removed to actually see what's in there. So I'm going to call that done for this particular video clip. That's the sort of 4-week update, as it were. And I still remain impressed with this. I remain less impressed with the lack of response from the Beanque guys. I'm really disappointed, to be honest. And that said, it's feasible that with the whole world situation as it is at the moment, that there have been other events that have meant that they've not been able to respond or active wherever they are located, which I'm presuming is China, I don't know. So it's a tricky one, but it's a shame. It's a real shame, because I think this is an excellent product and it would have been nice to have had a response from them. But so far, I am still impressed with the product, and that's the update so far. So the next video on this will be stripping and cleaning the grinder. So thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.